Namaskar. Hello and welcome to this special session. We found it important that we should bring you what is going to happen today in Toronto, and this is the TDSB. To know all about this, I have a guest who is joining me for the very first time from Canada, Dr. Ragini Sharma. Dr. Ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskar and welcome and happy Holi to all.
Happy Holi to all. Ragini ji, I just want to do a quick intro for all our viewers about you. Dr. Ragini Sharma, PhD, MSW. She is the president of CoHHE. In her professional life, Dr. Sharma worked for over 25 years with individuals, families, and communities of diverse backgrounds to support their human dignity and their economic, social, and political rights. She has extensive experience working as a volunteer with seniors, immigrants, and children in diverse spaces, such as in social services agencies, community centers, and schools. Dr. Ragini, welcome to our program one more time. I'm sorry.
I'm honored. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. And I know you have a time limit because you have to go to this program. So I'm going to keep it very, very short. Dr. Ragini, walk us through what has been happening. You are the president of CoHHE. You have been having a petition drive. And we know that his whole thing is based on a dubious report. We'll come to that later. But first, tell us what is happening in Toronto.
See, the Canadian Organization for Hindu Heritage Education is a new organization. We started it because we were already working with many school boards and other organizations. I'm co-chair of the Hindu Heritage Month Committee at the Toronto District School Board, and our other members, we were working to introduce Hindu phobia within the anti-racism policy in other boards. So at the Peel District School Board, Durham District School Board, our committee members worked and we were successful. So while we were doing this, right in my backyard, in my own Toronto District School Board, which I am a volunteer at, they have been working for a year on this. And this is a really important point, is that Equality Labs and Professor Jangam have been meeting with the staff, and I don't know who, this is still needs to be found out because they've been very, very quietly introducing this whole caste oppression idea to the Toronto District School Board and poisoning their mind against the South Asian community here and the community that's coming here, that they're coming with this mindset that Hindus are inherently casteist and put that cloud over their mind and point us as, very bigoted people that TDSB should monitor. And that's our concern, that it's been done in behind our backs and suddenly, just by chance, a school board employee, a teacher, was just watching one of their committees just as out of curiosity, and suddenly he saw this and he said, oh my God, we didn't know this, and they've been working on it for a year, and in fact it had come to the board previously. We're shocked how quietly these people have done their work without consulting. It's all against human rights. So now we've been on overdrive for a month. Our lives are on hold. I mean, people who are having jobs, they're struggling. We've really mobilized the community, and all the community agencies have come together. We're very proud of our community here in GTA, Toronto.
Dr. Ragini, that Equality Labs has been peddling this false report full of untruths and lies across United States. They have also failed in several places. And if any of you get a chance to speak at the TDSB, please do mention that they have been caught on their lies. And I'm going to give a quick presentation for our viewers right after Dr. Ragini has a few points. Perhaps you can walk us through what you think the TDSB should be doing. You have a petition out there, and it's my bet, and perhaps yours too, that this is going to go and find its way into other school councils, other cities in Canada.
Exactly. And you know what? Most South Asians, I don't like to use the word, they've used it. We call ourselves Indians or Hindus, but they want to use this South Asian. We know it's not the right word. But the thing is that most of the Indians are working hard. They're putting their children in school, making sure they arrive there ready to learn. They do the like Nobody knew about this, and it's been so hard for us to educate the community. They don't understand what's this even about. It's like we've barely had 3 weeks to get this done. So here are our concern. I would request you, Shri, if you can put our video. There's a 4-minute
Yes.
video which really explains it in their own words. It's based on the committee discussion that happened, and you will see how shallow, how misguided, and how slick their method has been to slide this in and fool the other TDSB. These are two Sri Lankan trustees, Anu and Yalini, and they have just done a massive con job here. I want to start with my point one, which is TDSB has never received a report from the parents or their own constituents to ask, is there any caste discrimination? Not one report. They were asked about that. There is little evidence that there is caste discrimination in Toronto or in Canada. Even if you see the Globe and Mail article that came out today, they come up with one example. It could be a cooked up example. You know,
Oh, you'll see more
they
of those. Yeah.
yeah, it's cooked up because there was not reported to the school. There's no so out of the whole thing, they want this whole motion to be passed on that one incident, which wasn't even brought to the attention of TDSB. So there is no evidence in the media or in academia that there is caste discrimination in Toronto or Canada. Yet they found it. They put this false statement in their motion that there is there is documented proof that there is a rise in caste discrimination in GTA, I mean in Toronto area and Canada. Like complete false statement to mislead the board. The fourth point is that one of the things that they have completely ignored, and it's been a lapse of their duty as trustees, has not actually asked their lawyers to look into whether caste is already covered under the 17 codes of the human rights, the Ontario Human Rights. See, the Ontario Human Rights has many codes, and one of them is creed, ancestry, place of origin, and ethnicity. So obviously caste will fit under ethnicity, place of origin. So they've not explored their options, and they're suggesting to put this as a standalone category. And interestingly enough, they don't even have the authority to do it. The only person who can add a standalone is the Ontario government in legislature. So, I mean, they're way out of their league. They didn't check the legal system. Their staff has just been on this emotional kind of, it's feeding their anti-Hindu or anti-India rhetoric. It's been, it's truly disturbing, I have to say. Fifthly, can you imagine that they're proposing to do census? They're going to ask a student, what is your caste? I mean, can you imagine how my children or any of your children, your family's children be asked what? Most of the kids grew up in Canada. They don't even have a caste awareness. And when you ask this question, it's a microaggression because you're immediately telling them, oh, I think you might be, and if you're a Sharma like myself, I mean, you are a Brahmanical, high class, dominant, and you're just evil. So we need to target you. So this is a major concern we have, is that students will be divided by, they'll start to think about themselves as Brahmin or this, and this will cause unnecessary division where there aren't any right now. So why create divisions? The other sixth point I want to make is that this motion is singling out South Asians on the basis of their country of origin. That is against the Human Rights Code. If you'll notice, all the Human Rights Codes, race, class, gender, ethnicity, place of origin, disability, they apply to everyone. But they're trying to introduce something that only applies to South Asian. So as you can see, this will not be able to be supported legally. I mean, they're completely wrong. It's discriminatory to pick on one community and paint them as bigoted and prejudiced. And this kind of messaging will create stereotypes leading to hate crimes against and bullying in the schoolyard. I can't imagine that they haven't thought this through. The other thing is that, TDSB prides itself on having consultations with their parents. They have a committee. It's called the Parent Involvement Committee. They never heard of it. I'm co-chair of the Hindu Heritage Month. They never invited us. In fact, the whole process has had no consultation. And Trustee Pei, as you know, who is the only trustee who voted against it, he pointed all these out, and we've recorded in the video. Also, this motion does not provide due process of fair treatment. I mean, as you can imagine, they can pick on anybody and say you're higher caste, there's lower. Who will decide all this? Do they have the expertise? And that's where Equality Labs come out. I think they're trying to create their jobs in there as consultants, and they're going to come and educate. They're going to teach all these students and children about all this and divide. It's inconceivable how they think they can get away with this. Sorry. The other thing I wanted to mention was that the school board just yesterday announced major cuts in frontline staff, people like in-class attendance for people with students with special needs, and all these. They have had huge cuts, millions, and they want to spend their limited resources on this kind of, wild goose chase after. And you will see in the video, the last images about this trustee Anu, and she says, "Oh, and if we don't find anything, what's the big deal? It's what is there to be scared of?" She's a trustee. Do you have any sense of responsibility, fiscal responsibility? And so, this is completely a lack of thought, lack of care for 10,000 Hindu students at least. And so I want to end, but I don't want to miss the chance of thanking 𝗒𝙗𝗄𝗏 Shukla from HAF. I know you've had her on your show. She has been educating us because we had no idea. We've been seeing it on Seattle, and they talked about how Jains are militant vegetarians, and I'm like, we're just thinking about, and what nonsense is this? And then it's on top of us. Pahar toot gaya hamare sar pe. Shri, we have this, and we're trying to make sense of it. Our main work is we're a grassroots organization. We have mobilized our parents, our community, to write thousands, sign the petition in thousands, send hundreds of letters, and speaking up and contacting each and every trustee and say, listen, you can't do this. This is against the law. This is against morality. This is plain meanness towards the Indian community. I'm going on and on. I think I should stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ragini, and viewers, and also if the members of TDSB happen to be watching this, you should watch this, because the information that I am going to present to you has been available for several months. In fact, I might even say several years now. And none of that information has been refuted by Equality Labs. And I'm going to show our viewers in a few slides why this whole organization is shady, and this person is a fraud, and there is dubious links of these people with some very inhuman acts that they have performed in previous lives. So I want to just share with you a quick blow-by-blow presentation, and I have the reference link. You can go and read it. Like I said, I'll also add a few more things after I do the presentation. Here we go. So this is the Equality Labs website, and if you go to the same page now and look at it, some names will be missing. One prominent name that will be missing is the name of 𝗒𝗲𝗄𝗏, H-U-M-A-D-A-R. Why is this person important? You will know in the slides to come. There's a picture there standing. Huma is standing there, and so is 𝗒𝙂𝗎𝗄𝗏𝗀 Soundararajan, one of the founders of Equality Lab. Now, you might ask me, who else is a founder of Equality Lab? I'll come to that in just 1 second. So, Natasha Dar is the daughter of Huma Dar. These people are from Pakistan. These are Muslims. And Natasha Dar is a co-author of the Equality Lab 2018 annual caste report. This is a flawed report. They did not report the data accurately. Not only that, it violates just about every kind of rule or metric you would use to write in a report. Then the whole resolution of TDSB is going to be based on this report. I want to try and open your eyes, and assuming that you are neutral and you want to be informed so that you know what is going on here. 𝗤𝗲𝗲𝗲 has been living in the United States since the 90s. She completed her graduation, blah, blah, blah. She's right now a faculty in Berkeley, UC Berkeley, and you will find her name in espousing Kashmir causes, Khalistani causes, and anything to do that is anti-Hindu, anti-India. The idea is here, where is her funding coming from? What is her relationship with the Pakistani army? I'll tell you in just 1 minute. She portrays herself as an expert on the Kashmiri conflict. And see, the thing is, for a long time, the majority Hindus ignored all these lumpends. And now suddenly they have got funding, noise making capability of whatever you want. And now they are spewing venom based on untruths. I mean, if there was any basis of this report, then you can say, okay, let us do some remedial measures. But no, these are all basically paid by agents of Pakistan and perhaps some other terrorist organizations to do this stuff just to throw mud at India, especially at Modi, because they are afraid that the screws are being tightened slowly but steadily, unrelentingly, and one after other, all their terrorist surrogates in India are being shut off, they're being taken care of, and they just don't want, they can't take care of their country, leave alone that, but they want to go and try to, inflict 1,000 cuts upon India. This is the whole thing. And people like 𝗤𝗏𝗧𝗏, misguided, misinformed, ill-informed, these people are becoming their torchbearers. And TDSB would be well advised to do some research on the antecedents of Equality Lab and places where they have been turned down, and understand that this is way too complex. This report is a flawed report, and basically making or forming opinions or rules on that is going to be a lot of problems down this road, especially when you are having budget cuts. You should think 10 times before doing this. That's what I would do. Now, what are the things that are a real concern here? Equality Lab's only caste report is now used as the basis to drag US-based tech giants also. So this is, there's Google, there is a Cisco case. The first time around, it fell flat, and now they are trying to redo something, but they know they are on a weak wicket. They tried doing the same thing in Santa Clara County. That fell flat. So I can go on and on. Whatever victories they can chalk, even that is in trouble. The University of California system, the faculties have gone up in arms. They said that somebody can use this as an excuse for a poor grade. See, there is a problem for somebody who's a professor. So these kinds of things are, of concern. There is one other individual that I didn't even go into, 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 happening. Natasha Dar's mother, Humadar, is the daughter of Lieutenant Colonel Bashiruddin Ahmed, and he was a high-ranking Pakistan army officer, and he was in Bangladesh during the time that Hindu genocide happened in 1971.
Very shocking.
And all of these things point to association with IAMC, Indo-American Muslim Council. They also have got funding from Soros Foundation, and they are all part of this news portal called twocircles.net, again, which has dubious funding sources. Essentially, it is a plot by Pakistani Americans, whatever you want to call it, the deep state of Pakistan, in trying to somehow inflict mud and pain on India, and this is what their vehicle that they have chosen. Clearly, they can't run themselves. They don't have any idea of how to really administer a society, and they are trying to manufacture all these fault lines. Dr. Ragini, you'll be amazed to know. You'll be amazed to know that the political structure in any South Asian Islamic country, okay, either it is India has also got 200 crore Muslims. India, Pakistan, as well as Bangladesh. You know that the political leadership, 90% is Ashrafiyas, and they're hardly a small percentage in the entire Muslim population. The Pasmandas are the majority. So if they are going to say they are going to apply this South Asia, by Jove, they will be the first ones affected too. They haven't really put their mind into all this stuff.
I
There is
want to
so,
mention,
yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead.
sorry, Shri, I just want to stay with the
Yeah.
TDSB issue. One of the things that I forgot to mention, which I don't want to miss, is what you were saying is all this behind the scene, what the ideology is, as you know, with Equality Labs being the fountainhead of all this ideology. One of the things that they are doing is they are mapping caste onto race. And I know that Rajiv Malhotra's new book, Snakes in the Ganga, he has explained this. And if anybody hasn't read that book, they should read that. And that's the only word I can use is evil. Because what they're trying to tell TDSB, they have managed to poison their mind that caste is the root of racism against black people. And in this way, they're trying to make caste as part of anti-black racism, which is very important and dear to all of us, because we sympathize with the Dalits, we sympathize with the black community. They do face intense hatred that needs to be addressed, but they have tried to slide caste as anti-racism just to be able to be included. And this is so sly. And to tell the whole world that caste is the right word and not race, and that what black and Africans faced was actually caste oppression. This is the way to recast caste and into race. And what this tells people, and I experienced this, it tells the people that the racism against African and black did not happen at the hands of the Europeans who went and enslaved them and brought them and continued to treat them the way they did, but somehow it's linked to the caste movement in India. India had nothing to do with the African enslavement. We ourselves were enslaved. But this is how twisted their ideology is, and you can see they will not stop at any twisting of the facts to get their foot in the door, and that's what they're trying to do. And so I really wanted to make that point, and I've tried to, and I'll tell you, I faced this. There's already Hindu phobia, anti-South Asian sentiment in the TDSB staff. I was at a meeting by one of the trustees, Shelley Laskin, a town hall meeting online, and they were telling stories. They're developing a new campaign. Across Canada, there's a new campaign on anti-hate. From the federal government to local governments, they have new people hired to talk about anti-hate. So these two people, authors, had written a book on anti-hate, and they only talked about Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, which is all good, anti-black, that's perfect, as it should be. But then I raised my voice and said, you know, there is no mention of anti-Hindu phobia, anti-Hindu. And the author said to me, oh, that's because we interviewed hundreds of students and no student brought that up. I said, listen, you have 10,000 students. They probably brought it up, but you didn't know what it was because you don't have the context. You don't know how to spot Hinduphobia. If they complained about being vegetarian, being harassed about being vegetarian or something, you wouldn't know what to call it. And so we were having, and then I raised the issue with the trustee and the senior staff. There was senior staff in this meeting. I said, do you know what? There is Hinduphobia. Other boards have recognized it. I'd like to tell me who I should speak with to bring this on the table at TDSB. There was silence on their part. And then one TDSB staff spoke up and said, you know what? There's many kinds of discrimination and oppression, like caste, and we can't include anyone. Can you believe it? That she threw this caste bomb at me when I raised the issue of Hinduphobia. And this is what we have been saying, that this creates prejudice and hate and discrimination against. It was a living proof that when I raised the issue of inclusion of Hinduphobia, she threw this caste it's not a microaggression, it's a macro. Basically, you keep quiet, you are a dominant oppressor, and we don't want to hear what you have to say because we're actually interested in caste because they're the ones who impress. So this is how it's actually going to work. And I saw it happen. I was so deeply hurt and alarmed, and they don't realize what they're doing. And that is our main concern, that you're picking on the South Asian community, you're painting them as inherently bigoted, and you're denying them basic human rights, which they have. Thank you so much, Sri. I can't hear you.
Sorry, thank you so much, Dr. Ragini. I had muted myself because there was some outside noise. Thank you so much, Dr. Ragini. I'm trying to get one more guest invited, but if you have to go, please feel free.
Please. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have our demonstration in front of the TDSB office. We're going to let them know that we're deeply hurt and concerned, and they should not support this. Thank you very much. I ask people to sign the petition. This petition is very important because it's not only for TDSB, it's going to spread across Canada, and we need to know we're Canadians. We're not Americans. We're not going to let the Americans steamroll into here and spread their hate here. I love America, but there's a part of this caste stuff that we don't need here in Canada. Thank you. Jai Shri Ram.
I hear you loud and clear. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you so much.
Jai Shri Ram. Thank you.
So viewers, we are also getting one other guest. He's having some connectivity issues. I'm going to try and see if there's if he's going to join again. Unfortunately. So while we try to get him online, I would like to request all of you to please view, share, and subscribe to our channel, and also click on the bell button for notifications. This is for your smartphones. If you happen to be on Twitter, do consider following us on Twitter at @𝗏𝗏𝗲𝗏, that is my personal Twitter account handle, and also at PGurus1, PGurus1, which is my company PGurus handle, because we are going to be doing, and if I've been doing it for a while now, Twitter spaces where you actually get to interact with many of the specialists, and you will actually see what is going on, and you'll get more than just one question, one answer. I have with me now 𝗤𝗏𝗧 Sharma joining me. Can you hear me, 𝗤𝗏𝗧?
Yes. Hello, namaste, Jai Shri Ram. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Namaskar, Jai Shri Ram. And wait a little bit, if you could introduce yourself to our audience and then express your thoughts on what is going down in Toronto today.
Yes, so my name is 𝗤𝗏𝗧 Sharma. I live in Brampton, Ontario. I've lived here for 30 years when my parents came here to Canada. And basically, my understanding of this issue is that it's a very targeted and a malicious issue for us as Hindus, because it's portraying that the laws that currently exist or the policies that currently exist are not already enough to stop these types of issues from coming up. There's no evidence that there is a systematic caste issue in our schools. And if there is, why is it not being discussed with the parents in the community? Why is it being discussed in private boards, in rooms that parents and children don't have access to what conversations are being had about them? I think that's a very dangerous way to have educational policies, to take parents outside of the classrooms and have children be forced to have conversations that they do not understand. To introduce this type of conversation in schools literally puts a target on every single South Asian child, and that is not hyperbole. It's what's being done now. So I think it's a very dangerous thing.
Absolutely, 𝗏𝗏𝗧, and I share your concern. And viewers, this is important. You need to speak up for yourself. You know, this is not an issue. Again, the basis of this report on which the TDSB is, going to pass some laws, that is a very flawed report. There are other reports. You should have looked at those also. And if you need more time, so be it. If you have the time and the resources, go through all the reports on these things. You will find one lie after another. This is a motivated campaign to try and inflict death upon India by 1,000 cuts. That is my take on it. I've presented the video evidence. I've presented you all the links. You are welcome to make your own conclusions. Don't do anything in haste is all I can say. Thank you so much, Vit Sharma, for joining. And viewers, as always, please don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.